From Lagos, Nigeria, this is News Central. I am Agboola Ajayi. Our top stories tonight. Emergency officials put out fire as gas-laden tanker explodes near Lagos Otedola Bridge, rendering motorists and pedestrians stranded. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan seeks justice, reports her suspension by the Nigerian Senate to the UN Inter-Parliamentary Union. Supreme Court upholds judgment dismissing suit against Ondo State Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa. And ECOWAS activates standby force to combat terrorism challenge in the region.
In business, Nigeria's oil production declines by 5% in February, falls short of OPEC quota.
And in sports, Super Eagles coach Eric Shell names final 23-man squad at a crucial World Cup qualifiers. Details in a moment.
Welcome, everybody. Tonight begins right now. We begin tonight with breaking news in Lagos, where a gas-laden tanker exploded on the popular Otedola Bridge, causing a massive fire. Motorists and pedestrians have been rendered stranded as emergency officials are currently struggling to contain the inferno. Just off the wires, we hear that they have indeed contained the inferno. There have been previous incidents of tanker explosions on the Otedola Bridge. One such incident occurred on June 28, 2018, when a tanker exploded, loaded with petroleum product, fell, leaked and exploded, resulting in the loss of lives and destruction of vehicles. Another incident happened on May the 25th, 2021, when a tanker conveying 45,000 liters of premium motor spirit crashed and exploded. News Central has been following this story very diligently, and for the latest update on the current situation, let's cross now live to our correspondent Adedakwa Adigboye, who's standing by at the scene with the latest. I mean, crazy incident, isn't it? What more can you tell us right now?
All right, great, Adeshawa. It's great to, of course, have you have me tonight. But right now, the fire situation has been contained. The fire, of course, has been put out by men of the fire service. But right now, I have Adesha Margaret. She's an official with one of the agencies working here tonight. Can you please bring us up to speed as regards what happened here tonight?
Okay, around 8 o'clock tonight, we received a message to fire incident that happened at Otedola Bridge, where a truck on gas collided with another car and resulted in fire outbreak. And right now, the fire has been contained. I want to commend the staff and the officers of the firefighter from Lagos State and other emergency responders who has contributed and their unrelented effort, professionalism to ensure the fire is out. Right now, the fire is out. However, we are still going to be on ground to ensure no ignition of fire outbreak.
Okay, so can you give us exactly the nature of this fire? We understand it was a gas explosion. We, of course, covered efforts and frantic efforts by men of your team trying to put out this particular kind of fire.
It was a gas explosion. The vehicle wanted to go and, supply the gas somewhere, and along the way, he wanted to climb. He wanted to climb here, and he couldn't move. He collided. He came back and collided with another vehicle, as I said earlier, and that was what resulted in fire outbreak. And there was a gas inside the cylinders, which we cannot say categorically the capacity of the cylinder as at now.
All right. Officially, do we know if lives were lost?
Of course, we rescued some people we suspected life, but not until when we are certain that we would let the public know.
All right. So right now, what is left? I can still see bits of fire, bits littered all over the place. So what's going to happen later tonight?
There is no fire again, but as I said earlier, we are going to be on ground to ensure no ignition.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. Well, there you have it, Adesewa Josh. This fire, from what we understand, the tanker actually did lose control and it exploded just around the corner here. Some cars, were affected. A building just behind us was also affected. We understand that building is actually a hospital. We cannot officially confirm if lives were lost. Right now, I have Mr. Osoyintolu, the permanent secretary of the SEMA. It's great to have you.
You mean Dr. Osoyintolu?
Dr. Osoyintolu. So,
thank you very much.
So, what's the situation on ground now, sir?
I see that we are on top of it, and all what we are doing it under the watch of Mr. Governor, Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu. You can see all the key stakeholders are on the ground. The director of fire services is on the ground, and she led all her team. The general manager of LASMA is on the ground, that is taking care of the control of traffic. And you can see LASMA with the neighborhood, we are all on the ground. With this combined effort, we are able to combine the spread of the fire, because what we dealt with a gaseous substances that is highly inflammable. And you can see where the incident is being located. Is located in a densely populated area. Is located in a highly connected networking site. You can see the bridge by the side, and you can see how inflammable is the gas. So with the combined effect, we are able to localize the gaseous substances. We put it off, and with this effect, you can see that the impact of this emergency or disaster is not much on the good people of Lagos State. However, it is pathetic to note that we recorded one mortality that has been taken to the mortuary, and 3 were severely burned. They are receiving adequate treatments at Bagada General Hospital. You will note that in Lagos State, emergency victims are always treated free of charge, and we are doing that. So we've started communicating with the Ministry of Health, with the General Hospital at Bagada, and they are doing fantastic well. From the later information I gather was that they are receiving adequate treatment. However, it is pertinent to note also that vehicles are affected. 12 vehicles are affected. 8 Mawas vehicles are affected. Under the watch of Mr. Governor, we will clear this place. We will not go until everything is put under control. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. That's Dr. Osoyintolu. Well, over to you, Josh. That's the situation at the moment.
Just hold him there, just hold Dr. Olufemi there, because I wonder why that particular area of Lagos is susceptible to these kind of accidents. Does he have any explanation as to why we keep seeing this over and over again? Hold him, don't let him go if he has any answers to that.
The question is, why is it that on this particular part of Lagos, we keep seeing a recurrence of this unfortunate kind of event?
Okay, if you are analytical about this, you will see that this Lagos-Ibadan expressway is highly used. A lot of vehicles use it. But however, and this is the advocacy we've been carrying out, the tankers drivers need to be properly educated about this terrain. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And so they need to be very, very careful. If you look at what happened early this morning, you will discover that it's basically from the brief that I received, you discover that briefly is more of the carelessness and recklessness of the driver. Secondly, if you look at this, look at the position, look at the curve. Look at everything that has been put in place by Lagos State. But however, our people are reckless. If the driver has been patient, we've not done the investigations. What I'm just saying, I'm looking at it from the operational view. We are still going to carry out detailed investigations on this. But as emergency responder, I have to look at it from a brief. So from my preliminary reports, I will be looking at it and say that the driver here is reckless in the way he handles things. You can see the head moving this way. You can see the body this way. If you look at the curve of that thing, you will discover that there is a recklessness in this situation, because you can see there is disjointed of the body and the head.
So do you think that a policy initiative should arise to sort of curtail unfortunate events like this in the future?
What we have been doing, that the fire services people have been doing, that the safety commission have been doing, that the security officer have been doing, under the watch of Mr. Governor, Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu, we've carried out a lot of advocacy. The lacuna is that the government is putting a lot of things in place to ensure safety of life and properties. And you can see all the engines brought in here to curtail the spread of the fire. You can see the manpower we put in here. The lacuna is that our people are not doing their own. They need to do their own.
How?
They need to realize that emergency disaster is everyone's business. They need to be very careful. The driver needs to be patient here. If the driver has been okay, we will not have this problem.
Do we know anything about the whereabouts of the driver?
Right now, what we are doing is a rescue operation. When we are carrying out investigations, we will call all the key stakeholders.
All right,
Dr. Osanyintolu, thank you so much.
Dr. Oke Osanyintolu.
Thank you so much, sir.
It's very important.
Thank you so much. Well, there you had it. Over to you, Adesewa.
All right, we have to say thank you to Dr. Olufemi Oke Osanyintolu, Permanent Secretary, Lasema. And of course, thank you, Adedapo, for keeping a keen eye on this very unfortunate incident. One person is dead, according to Dr. Oke Osanyintolu. 3 severe burns, and they're being treated at the Gbagada Hospital, and then 12 vehicles have obviously been burned down too. We'll keep an eye on this story. Thank you so much, and have a good night. In other news, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, the lawmaker representing Kogi Central, has taken to the United Nations Parliamentary Union in New York to report her suspension from the upper legislative chamber. At the Women in Parliament session, Senator Natasha sought justice and the intervention of global democratic institutions over what she described as injustice meted out to her. She says she fears for her safety and worries she might be detained against her will in New York by, quote, powerful forces from Nigeria. Let's cross now live to our National Assembly correspondent, Sagir Ibrahim, for more on this story. Sagir, this is fresh off the wires. There's a lot to unpack here. What more do we know?
Well, Adesewa, good evening. Thank you for having me on tonight. It's seeming like there seems to be no end to what some would only describe as the continuous unraveling of what now seems like a bulb of onions. Once you unravel one, meet another one. Once you unravel another layer, you meet just another one. You would recall that the last statement that Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan made upon receiving a suspension from the National Assembly is, this injustice will not stand. That was on the 6th of March before she left the Senate chambers. I strongly believe that this is a follow-up to that statement. She has taken a cry this time, of course, to the International Parliamentary Union, where she spoke at the Women in Parliament session held, of course, during that meeting. She had alluded, of course, during the meeting that because of the gravity of the suspension that was meted on her, she can no longer identify as a senator representing the Federal Republic of Nigeria and representing Kogi Central indeed. She can no longer parade herself as such, be it internationally or locally, thereby making her presence at that particular meeting illegal. This sort of brings to perspective the dynamics, to which the suspension and the level and severity to which the suspension could take. Earlier today, of course, we saw a group of demonstrators who came to the front of the National Assembly, and they were very emphatic. In fact, some of them called Senator Natasha Akpoti some unprintable words, out of one of which was a serial betrayer and a serial blackmailer.
Right.
She claims that the Senate had suspended her because of her allegations, against the Senate president bordering on sexual harassment.
Right.
But of course,
yeah. So I just wanted to quickly ask you, because of the significance of this going to a global stage. As a matter of fact, the Commission of the Status of Women is marking its 30th anniversary, and I believe that that's the current session where she reported this issue is one of the sessions for the Commission of the Status of Women. Powerful platform she's gone to in a month that celebrates women to discuss what she describes as injustice meted out to her. One of 4 female legal lawmakers, I should say, in the assembly. How significant is this, quickly before you go? Because of course this is still unraveling and we have to wait to see where it goes.
Quite significant, Adesewa, and the reason is simply because in a situation where you found yourself where the general populace, and this time now being her colleagues, have not done enough in this situation to speak up, to support her. She had made an allegation. This allegation borders around sexual harassment. Now, of course, we are quite aware of what has been going on in the media space with regards to all of this. There should be some form of investigation. There should be some form of acknowledgement that, look, whether she has flouted senators or not, an allegation of sexual harassment has been made. There has to be an investigation to unravel the severity, whether it holds any water or not. But unfortunately, this has not been done up until this time. It might interest you to know as well that the case that she has currently in court against the Senate President does not even bother on sexual harassment. In fact, that case is supposed to be a defamation suit, which she filed involving the senior legislative.
Let me quickly come in here. I wanted us to all listen together to what Senator Natasha Akpoti-Oduaha said at the Women in Parliament session in New York. Let's have a listen.
It depicts the crisis of women political representation. My suspension is not just about me. It's about the systemic exclusion of women from political leadership in Nigeria. Women make up 3.6% of political offices, and in the Senate, it's just 2.8. We have 109 men, and only 4 of us are women. So right now, it's 108 with only 3 women. This is a clear case of political victimization, punishment for speaking out against impunity, corruption, and gender-based violence. The United Nations Declaration 48/104 declares sexual harassment as a form of gender violence. The Senate's actions are an assault on democracy. I was elected by my constituents to represent.
Those are pretty consequential allegations there. Sagir, she said, my suspension is not just about me. This is political victimization. This story is obviously not going anywhere. We're going to need you to keep an eye on it as we bring more to our viewers. Thank you so much, Sagir Ibrahim, our National Assembly correspondent. Thank you. Let's move on to other stories now. The Supreme Court has reaffirmed Lucky Aiyedatiwa as the Governor of Ondo State, dismissing a suit by the People's Democratic Party and its candidate Agboola Ajayi. In a ruling delivered by Justice Garba Lawal, the court declared Ajayi's appeal lacking in merit and cites discrepancies in Deputy Governor Olayide Adelami's name change as the primary grounds for the challenge. The Supreme Court's decision upholds the lower court's ruling, which dismissed the case on procedural grounds. The court found that Ajayi lacked the legal standing to sue because he filed the case beyond the 14-day limit stipulated by law. The Apex Court subsequently ordered Ajayi to pay a fine of 2 million naira to each of the 4 respondents. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has confirmed the law enforcement agency will no longer parade criminal suspects to the media before they are charged to court. This move follows a directive by the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, which formally forbids the practice. The ban is expected to ensure the Nigeria police respect and uphold the fundamental human rights of the suspects and adhere to global best practices in policing. The practice of parading suspects is based on provisions of the Nigeria Police Act 2020, which allows the police to parade suspects before the media with the view of protecting lives and property, prevent, detect, and prosecute crimes. Well, we need to take a closer look at this story with Dennis Amakri, former Assistant Director, Department of State Services, DSS. He joins me from New York. Also joining me is Malaki Ugumadu, a human rights lawyer. He's joining me from Lagos. It's good to have you both tonight.
Thank you.
I still can't see which of the faces is joining me. Oh, Dr. Makri, thank you. Well, I'll start with you then, and not Malaki, because I was going to ask Malaki my first question, but it turns out it has to be you. If my guys can quickly confirm if we have our second guest with us, that would be very, very nice. If not, I would ask, what role does parading a suspect play in law enforcement?
Well, I think it's a Nigerian thing, because that aspect of parading suspect is not very common in other climes or in other areas. You know, one thing is that the only time you will see a suspect, you know, is maybe when he's being taken to court, you know, but to bring him with arms all displayed and stuff like that, I think it's wrong. And I've been advocating about it, because when you come to think about it, you know, the fundamentals of human rights, where a person is innocent until proven guilty, is not taking place. So the best thing is to do your investigations, gather everything, keep the suspects away, and then, of course, take them to court. Why is the parading so important? It doesn't make any sense. So I believe that it's a very good thing that I give kudos to the Inspector General for finally coming around to this particular aspect.
But Mr. Makri, this isn't the first time that we've seen the judiciary condemn the practice of parading suspects. Neither is it the first time that the Nigeria police has been dragged to court by state government, in fact, in this case, Lagos State in 2021. But very little has changed until hopefully now. Are you optimistic the Inspector General of Police can reset this practice? And what will it take? Because obviously it's going to take more than just a directive to fix it.
It's just a directive. I'm happy that the Inspector General has retuned this particular aspect. And of course, the major person that used to parade these people, my friend, the first public relations officer, is the one that just announced it. So I believe that we're going to have, you know, a different aspect of it. But the process is clear. You arrest criminals in whatever situation, investigate the case, get all the facts, and then, of course, send them to the court. You know, and during the period of taking them to court, press people can come and ask questions, or, you know, or even before they go to court, if the police authorities want to tell people, brief the public, they can brief the public, but don't parade the suspect. Because when you do that, suppose they become, you know, when they go to court and they become innocent and are let go, you know, they can turn around and sue because you have defamed them.
Right. I was going to say, ask Malaki this question. Unfortunately, for technical reasons, he can't join us tonight. But I was wondering if you're familiar with the Nigeria Police Act 2020, because that's where the practice is based. You know, that's the legal grounds to which the police parades suspects and shows it to the media, all just to, according to them, for good governance, to help in investigation, etc. What happens to that?
I think I've read the Police Act 2020, and there is no specific area where it's stated that you know, people or suspects are going to be paraded. You know, I've not seen that. Right. I think the reason why the police do that is because maybe they want to show the public that they are working. You know, they are doing something. But you can still do it without parading suspects.
That's quite interesting. I'm going to have to leave this conversation there and perhaps even continue to look at the Nigeria Police Act 2020, which allegedly gives the police permission to do what they do. In fact, they were dragged to court based on that in 2021 here in Lagos. And at that time, Lagos had also instituted a new law that says that no, that can't work. So there was like between the Nigeria Police Force, State Command, and the Lagos State government, they were in court dragging this issue. So there's definitely something around there. But thank you so much, Dennis Amakri, former Assistant Director, Department of State Services, for your thoughts tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Coming up, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike supervises demolition of property in Abuja metropolis. We will bring you details of this and more after the break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching Tonight on News Central. I'm Adeshawa Josh. A reminder of our top stories. Emergency officials put out fire as gas-laden tanker explodes near Lagos Otedola Bridge, rendering motorists and pedestrians stranded. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan seeks justice, reports her suspension by the Nigerian Senate to the UN Interparliamentary Union. Supreme Court upholds judgment dismissing suit against Ondo State Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa. There was drama at the Gishiri community in Abuja as the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, supervised the demolition of structures obstructing the construction of the Terra Road 16 in Gishiri Village, Katampe District. The minister warned residents of the area against sabotaging the federal government's developmental efforts, saying persons found culpable will not be spared. He says that those utilizing the corridor were given adequate notice, and despite approving compensation for them, some of them refused to vacate the area, thereby stalling the ongoing road construction. He added that the project is being constructed in the interest of the public and overrides any individual concerns.
I've told them the need for them to cooperate with government so that the contractor, CGC, will be able to correct this road and then hand it over by May ending. The traditional ruler, of course, pleaded with us to give them 1 week. The money for compensation has been made available, and we did also promise them, as part of that, we'll still make available somewhere they can relocate. But with all these assurances, it does appear, from what I got the report, that work is not going on. And I did inform the traditional ruler that this work has to go on. And enough is enough. No government would fold its stamps and allow people to sabotage for the interest of the public, not as if anybody is coming to acquire land to build houses.
The Lagos State government has confirmed an outbreak of diphtheria at the King's College, Victoria Island Annex, resulting in the death of a 12-year-old student and the hospitalization of 14 others. In response to the outbreak, the state government has activated an emergency response committee to commence mass vaccination of school children in that school. We have News Central's Omolola Ololade with the latest.
The outbreak of diphtheria at the King's College, Victoria Island Annex, resulting in the death of a 12-year-old student and the hospitalization of 14 others, has attracted the attention of Lagos State government in combating the disease. In response to the outbreak, the Lagos State government, in collaboration with federal health agencies, activated an emergency response committee while immediately commencing a vaccination exercise at both the Victoria Island Annex and the main school in Igboshere to bolster immunity against the deadly infection.
We are coming here today to boost all the children with what we call a diphtheria booster. And today, as you can see behind us, we have several of our staff lined up to vaccinate every child that has received consent from their parents. The vaccine will start to work in their body to build up their immune system that already exists from their childhood immunization and make it even more robust so that if they come into contact with a child that has the fever and is exporting the bacteria in their droplets, that they are not likely to catch the diphtheria fever. We're also going to vaccinate all staff here, adults. They don't need consent. They just need to know that they need to be vaccinated because they're working with children. They themselves are likely to be infected, and therefore they need to be boosted.
While the Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, commended the school authority for swiftly identifying cases, the school appreciated the Lagos State government for urgent intervention.
So we appreciate everyone for coming, and we are happy for the intervention. We can now rest knowing that our students are in safe hands. So on behalf of the Federal Ministry of Education, on behalf of all staff of the college, the management, we deeply appreciate all that is going on. Thank you.
You know, we called for the federal and state ministry after the death of the boy. I want to especially thank them for their answering. The way they answered the call, I would say it was not late at all. And we've gone to, the school took it upon themselves to console the parents of the child who died. So we've all taken care of that.
Vaccination of minors have always required parents' consent, hence the need for authorities to convince parents and guardians on the importance of vaccination for all students.
We shared the information to our fellow parents, and immediately some of them came to school, some of them sent their consent, and some that did not, maybe by way of religious belief or our affiliation, did not believe. Some of them actually came back to write or to sign their consent. So it has become like a general knowledge, no hidden place. So at this point, most people that did not give consent before have already come to school today to give their consent. So I believe that virtually all our boys will be vaccinated.
The state government is preparing a public health announcement to alert residents to the outbreak, urging vigilance for symptoms such as sore throat, fever, breathing difficulties, and swollen neck glands. Additionally, the Commissioner for Health urged Lagos residents to prioritize good hygiene, avoid crowded places, and seek immediate medical attention if they experience diphtheria-like symptoms in order to contain the spread and transmission of the disease. In Lagos for News Central, Omolola Ololade.
Outside our shores, the Economic Community of West African States has activated its standby force to combat terrorism in the sub-region. ECOWAS had in October 2024 hinted at the establishment of a 5,000-man kinetic force to tackle terrorism in the region. Speaking at the 43rd Ordinary Meeting of the Body's Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff in Abuja on Tuesday, Nigeria's Minister of Defense, Abubakar Badaru, said the activation of this force underscores the collective determination of member countries to confront the threat of terrorism. Ukraine says it is ready to accept an immediate 30-day ceasefire in the war with Russia, but on a condition that Kremlin also abides by it. This is as the United States announced it would immediately lift its restrictions on military aid and intelligence sharing after high-stake talks in Saudi Arabia. The agreement delivered in a joint statement following talks between senior U.S. and Ukrainian officials came nearly 2 weeks after an Oval Office blow-up between Trump and Zelensky that led the White House to suspend aid to the warring nation over the objections of its European allies. U.S. officials have said that they hope the agreement will help lead to talks to end the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Саме американської сторони зробити перший крок одразу далі. І на 30 днів спробувати встановити повне припинення вогню. Не тільки щодо ракет, дронів і бомб, не тільки у Чорному морі, а також по всій лінії фронту. Україна сприймає цю пропозицію. Ми вважаємо це позитивним. Ми готові зробити такий крок. Сполучені Штати Америки мають переконати Росію зробити. Американська сторона розуміє наші аргументи, сприймає наші пропозиції. І я хочу подякувати президенту Трампу за конструктивність розмови наших команд.
Morning talk, sports and entertainment, that's just after this break. Do stay with us. It's time for the latest in business news with Lekon from our business desk. Lekon, I hear that there's been a decline in Nigeria's crude oil production. How did we get here?
Well, you cannot take it away from dilapidated infrastructure and, of course, some attack on pipeline assets. But then I'll tell you more in our business news.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Nigeria's crude oil production experienced a 5% decline in February, averaging 1,465,006 barrels per day, down from 1,538,697 barrels per day in January. This output fell short of the country's OPEC quota of 1.5 million barrels per day, achieving only 98% of the target. The total production for February reached 41,020,155 barrels, including condensates, which are not accounted for by OPEC. The Forcados terminal led production with 7.75 million barrels, followed by Bonny at 6.3 million barrels. And despite the drop, Nigeria produced 566.8 million barrels of crude oil and condensate in 2024, maintaining its status as Africa's largest oil producer. Ghana's Finance Minister Kasel Otoforsin announced significant spending cuts this year to revive the economy amid a wider than expected deficit and debt figures, particularly in the cocoa and energy sectors. In his budget speech, Forsin described the economy as being in severe distress, and President John Dramani Mahama aims to address the ongoing cost of living crisis and restructure $8.7 billion in debt. The government plans to achieve real GDP growth of at least 4% and reduce inflation to 11.9% by the year end. Let's talk stock market now. Trading activities in the Nigerian equities market concluded on a negative note today, with the NGX ASI, that is the All-Share Index, declining. Now, this drop reflects a year-to-date return of 3.72%. Now, the ASI ended 106,164.64, representing 0.43%, while the market capitalization decreased by 286 billion naira, settling at 66.48 trillion naira. We round it up with sectoral performance. Well, today's performance in the Nigerian equities market showcased a mixed landscape. We saw the insurance sector emerge as a standout performer, well, with a 0.87%, while the banking and consumer goods, of course, you can see them there, declined 0.21% and 0.28%. The oil and gas sector experienced a slight decrease of 0.03%, and the industrial goods sector remains stable anyway, with no change. Now, this varied performance reflects a different investor sentiment across the sectors. And that's it on business news. To stay with us, we're not done. I am Lekon Onabanjo.
Tunde Koiki joins me now with the latest in sports news today. Shall I say the excitement for the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers is on?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, of course. Remember that cartoon figure, Johnny Bravo, the one with the skinny legs and a bigger upper body? Well, that seems to be what Super Eagles coach Eric Shell is going for. 6 defenders, 6 midfielders, and 8 forwards in his new 23-man squad. I'll tell you what, all that and much more after the break.
All right.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Hello, welcome to Sports. In reference to the Johnny Bravo cartoon character, Super Eagles head coach Eric Shell on Tuesday announced his final 23-man squad ahead of Nigeria's 2026 World Cup qualifying fixtures against Rwanda and Zimbabwe. Now, the squad consists of 3 goalkeepers, 6 defenders, 6 midfielders, and 8 forwards, with a mix of experienced names and new faces. 14 members of the squad were part of the team that finished runners-up to Cote d'Ivoire at the last Africa Cup of Nations in 2024, while 2 players from the Nigeria Premier Football League also made the cut. There are mating call-ups for Slavia Prague centre-back Igbo Ogu, Niger Tornadoes defensive midfielder Papa Daniel Mustafa, and Belgian League top scorer Tolu Arokodare of Genk. Nigeria will face Rwanda on March the 21st in Kigali and Zimbabwe on the 25th of March in Uyo, needing to win both matches in order to revive their FIFA World Cup hopes. Now, co-chairman of the main organizing committee of the Niger Delta Sports Festival, Itiako Ikpoko, has confirmed Akwa Ibom State's readiness to host the festival after inspecting the venues for the competition. He made the declaration after inspecting facilities in the state alongside Akwa Ibom State Commissioner for Sports, Elder Paul Bassi, recently. About 3,000 athletes from Niger Delta Development Commission states will compete in 17 sports at the festival in Uyo, Akwa Ibom from the 1st to the 8th of April 2025. Events include athletics, football, basketball, wrestling, and para sports. The festival, which marks the NDDC's 25th anniversary, aims to empower Niger Delta youths, and security measures will also be put in place for athletes, officials, and fans. The festival will also include a cultural expo on the 7th of April at the Unity Park, which will feature musicians, comedians, and artists celebrating the Niger Delta's rich heritage alongside the sports festival. To international football now, Manchester United have announced plans to build the largest stadium in the United Kingdom, an iconic new 2,100,000 seater ground close to the existing stadium at Old Trafford. Once construction is complete, Old Trafford, which has been Manchester United's home since 1910, is likely to be demolished. Co-owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe said he wanted to build the, I quote, world's greatest football stadium, which the club hopes will be finished in 5 years. United's announcement comes after an extensive consultation process around whether to develop the existing stadium or build a new one. Designers of the project say the new stadium will feature an umbrella design and a new public plaza that is twice the size of Trafalgar Square. The design will feature 3 masts described as the Trident, which the architects say will be 200 meters high and visible from 25 miles away. Manchester United, currently £1 billion in debt, are yet to say how they plan to pay for the new stadium. And the long-awaited trial of medical staff who treated the late Argentine football legend Diego Maradona has started in the capital of Argentina, Buenos Aires. Maradona was convalescing when he died of a heart attack at his home in 2020, aged 60. He had been recovering at home from surgery on a brain blood clot earlier that month. Prosecutors allege that Maradona's death could have been avoided and accused the hospital staff of medical negligence. The defendants say Maradona had refused further treatment and should have stayed in hospital for longer after his operation. They risk prison terms between 8 and 25 years if convicted on the charge of homicide with possible intent. And finally, the Confederation of African Football President Dr. Patrice Motsepe and African Club Association ACA Chairman Hersi Said signed a historic memorandum of understanding in Cairo, Egypt on Tuesday, the 11th of March 2025. The MOU strengthens the partnership between CAF and the ACA and formalizes a number of strategic objectives, including working to ensure national teams and club football provide substantial benefits to players, clubs, leagues, and member associations. The ACA commended Dr. Motsepe for increasing financial support to club football. This includes the $50,000 solidarity fee given to all clubs that participated in the preliminary stage of the CAF Interclub competition, marking it the first time that clubs were given financial assistance to participate. CAF has also increased the prize money in both the Total Energies CAF Champions League and the Total Energies CAF Confederations Cup by over 40%. The ACA was launched in November 2023 and recently announced it will be setting up offices at the King Mohammed VI National Football Academy in Sao, Morocco. And that's sports tonight. It's back to you, Adeshewa.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Welcome back, everybody. Tuesday's entertainment news is loaded with record-breaking stories, and Sam Dandy is here with all the details. Sam?
I like how you say that, record after record, from here in Nigeria and across the globe, but I'll tell you all about it after this quick break.
Right.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
And now in entertainment, Nigeria's Olayide Adelami makes history, setting a Guinness World Record for the longest distance walked on a catwalk. I'm talking 125.11 kilometers over 4 days. Now, of course, the Guinness World Record announced that the Nigerian model, now a University of Lagos graduate, surpassed the previous record of 114.4 kilometers, which was set over 40 years ago by Roberta Brown and Lorraine McCourt in Dublin, Ireland. From, of course, the 19th of September to 21st of September 1983. Now, walking a record-breaking 2,058 laps at the University of Lagos Indoor Sports Center, Lagos, Nigeria, on the 1st of October last year, 2024, Olayide attempted this record to inspire others and challenge fashion students. Now, what she's done definitely redefines endurance and determination in the fashion world. Now, she joins a growing list of Nigerians who have attempted and broken, or successfully broken, Guinness World Records over the past year, since Hilda Bassi's record that led to an influx of many Nigerian entries on their website. That one's exciting. Hopefully, I can break a record soon. But let's go to this one. There's a new Broadway record. Now, Othello has become the highest grossing play in Broadway history last week, with a total of $8,818,297 for 8 performances only. Now, the play, originally written by William Shakespeare, stars Hollywood heavyweights, 2-time Oscar winner Denzel Washington and Brokeback Mountain star Jake Gyllenhaal. Now, it is directed by Kenny Leon and produced by Brian Anthony Moreland. Based on the tragic story, widely considered as one of Shakespeare's greatest works, Othello it's in second week of previews and played at 100% capacity, has already broken previous records for the highest grossing play, which was held by Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, which grossed about $2.7 million for the holiday weekend back in 2023, December 31st. Now, what's interesting is although Denzel didn't get an Oscar nomination for his role in the box office hit Gladiator 2, this record-breaking Broadway play is great news for fans, especially since his performance could have been severely affected by his tongue accident a few months ago. An ordeal he revealed was beginning to affect his speech and forcing him to slow down. Well, we're excited because you know how they say in the midst of all the trials, there's always still something to celebrate.
How did I miss that tongue accident? What did he do with his tongue?
Honestly, I like that he didn't give us information except how it affected the speech. I'm wondering.
I don't like that he didn't give us information because now my imagination is running wild. I see in pictures. Now you said, okay, never mind.
Maybe it was the Gladiator film, all the action in that one. Mm-hmm. Well, that's much entertainment. I'm Sam Dandy.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Well, that's the news tonight. But before we go, here's a reminder of our top stories. Emergency officials put out fire as gas-laden tanker exploded near Lagos Otedola Bridge, rendering motorists and pedestrians stranded. According to Lagos officials, 1 person is dead, 3 are severely burned, and 12 vehicles are also affected. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan seeks justice, reports her suspension by the Nigerian Senate to the UN Inter-Parliamentary Union. Supreme Court upholds judgment dismissing suit against Ondo State Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa. Remember, you can send your eyewitness reports to the WhatsApp number coming up shortly on your screen. There you go. Follow us on all social media platforms. We are at News Central. You can also watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Go TV channel 23, Start Times channel 274, AVO TV, and of course YouTube. We can't thank you enough for watching. I am Adesowa Josh. I'll see you tomorrow.